Hey guys, I am down on the allotment today because it is time to put up some low tunnels. For anyone that doesn't know, my name is Peggy and I am growing cut flowers here on my allotment in Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan, which is just south of Tokyo in USDA Zone 9B. Thanks for checking out my channel. Okay, so it's lovely and sunny right now, but our nighttime temperatures are getting down there and they're going to be around 5, 6, 7 degrees Celsius over the next few days, and that is cold enough to start getting a frost. But more than that, there's a cold wind, and I really feel like it was the wind that took out my Freesia last year, and I am not going to lose my Freesia this year. They're looking so good. Look at these guys. It's windy. Okay, so here are my Freesia, and they're looking so good. They're looking green and healthy and happy and tall and straight. My Freesia always fall down. I end up having to give them so much support because I can never get them to stay up, but these guys are looking really healthy, and this is how they looked last year, and they were doing really well. And then it wasn't until February, we were a lot colder this year actually, but about February a really cold wind came and they just shriveled up and died and never really came back, and I'm not going to let them do that this year. I'm so determined to get some Freesia. So I have come down this early to get a nice low tunnel on them. Now if you look around the allotment here, whoo, it's windy, you can see there's a lot of frost cloth. Now it seems that these guys are using this mostly as a frost cloth for their really tender leaves, like this is lettuce and spinach and things, and they've all got the silver veins running through it, which is to keep the slugs off. So I think this is more pest cover and a little bit of frost cover, and that's not really what I need. Yeah, don't need that so much. So that leaves me with a choice of frost cloth or low tunnel. And the reason I'm choosing the low tunnel is because I think it was definitely more of the wind that dried things out than the actual cold itself. Freesia are cold tolerant up to a point, and it doesn't really get that cold here, but they just all shriveled up. So I'm definitely thinking it was more of a wind problem, and so I'm going to go with the low tunnel because that gives more of a wind protection. Obviously the wind can get straight through the net of the fleece cloth, so yeah, I'm going to go with that. This wind is making my fringe go mad. I think I might just get out of the way. There we go. So when I planted my Freesia out, I already put in these hoops that I bought last year for my low tunnels, and that's because the little walking lanes in between my rows are really slim, and I didn't want to be standing on the things that I'd already planted. So I put these out to mark where I'd actually started planting things, and bonus, it means they're in the ground, so I don't need to do anything more. If you are wondering though, they just look like this, and you literally just push them in. Can't be any simpler than that. So if you look really closely at this row here, you can see that some of my anemone and my ranunculus are coming up as well, which is really exciting because they've not been in the ground very long. There's one. Another coming behind it. And then I've got some more coming over here. And there's some of my ranunculus coming. I'm very happy to be seeing these guys peeking through. That's a good sign. Okay, so since we've already got the hoops in the ground, all I need now are 2 sticks and my plastic. Dead easy. So ranunculus and anemone are both cold hardy, and they are one of the first things to come up, but I did find last year that a lot of my ranunculus died back in the cold as well, and I know that in colder climates a lot of people are growing these under either in polytunnels or under a cover of some form. So I'm actually just going to cover this whole row, and that means covering up my pansies and viola that I planted here. Now my plan was to put a shade cloth over them to try and get them to grow up taller, but I don't see much germination happening there and I'm really worried. So maybe having them a little bit more covered will give them a bit longer before the cold really comes in to try and get established, and hopefully we'll get more going on there. So I am going to run this cover from the start of this row right down to where my Freesia end. I am not going to be putting it over the likes of my bluebell, my anemone, no, I've forgotten what I planted. I'm not going to be putting it over my bluebell, my daffodil, my hyacinth, my muscari, and all that kind of stuff that's down the bottom, because they are totally fine. They don't need anything. Okay, so ideally you want these poles to be going in at about a 45-degree angle, but because I have planted right up to where my allotment boundary actually starts, I'm going to have to put this one in slightly steeper. It should be okay, but if you can, try and get it at a 45, and that will make it a much more secure footing. but I don't want to get in everyone's way as they're walking up and down this aisle, so I am going to have to put it in a little bit steeper with brute force. Yeah. Job's good. Next. Up this end though, I'm in nobody's way, so I can put it in. Force. Good. Okay, now I've got my plastic. Now this plastic does have holes in it. This allows water in, which is great, and allows air in as well, so there is still some air circulation. We are not super cold. I am in zone 9B, so it is going to be a mild winter. It's very rare to get a hard frost on here anyway, so this is enough for my area. If you're somewhere colder, you would probably want to do it without the holes. Kind of defies the point of keeping the cold off if the cold can get in. And I am going to grab the two corners and literally just wrap them around the pole and tie it on. Easy. So this is actually the plastic that I used last year, which means they're cut to size for the size I needed them last year, and that is shorter than what I need this year. So I am going to have to use two pieces, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Now that I've got that on, to keep it nice and tight and to make sure it's not going to move, I use clothes pegs. Keeps it in place perfectly. Then for a bit of extra stability, and because I have heaps of these poles left, I'm going to go and put one of these over the top in between each set of what are these, like bendy poles? Ta-da! I'm not going to lie, that guy's look a lot neater than mine. They're all exactly the same height and perfectly lined up. Mine's a bit of a wonky caterpillar. It's definitely more of a kind of wonky caterpillar, but I also have my kids over here shouting at me to hurry up, so that is how it's going to stay for now. Now, next time I come down, I will bring some long metal tent pegs that I have, and I will put one of them at the front just to help hold down the plastic on each side. You know, the weather's not bad yet, but that'll just make sure that it's done in case we do get a sudden wind. And then later on in the season, I am going to come back again and see if it does need the addition of the frost cloth, if they start to look like they're getting damaged again. I'm really going to be keeping such a close eye on them this year because I want Freesia. I mean, I want my Ranunculus to do better as well. I think they're going to benefit from this, but I just got my Freesia completely wiped out last season, which was heartbreaking. So I'm trying to keep these guys happy and content so that they will grow well for me. The other good thing about having the holes on this plastic is that it's still, I mean, you can see the sun's coming in, it is still warm. You know, my kids are over there in their woolly jumpers and hats because they're Japanese, but for a Scottish girl, it's still quite warm. I don't mind this at all, so that does mean that they're actually not going to overheat in there either, which is great when it's such a huge fluctuation in the temperatures right now. So yeah, wish me luck. Let's see if the Freesia make it this year. Okay, and that is all from me for this week. If you guys want to follow along and see how these do, if this helps, and how my Freesia do this spring, then please remember to hit the subscribe button below and follow along with us, and let me know what's going on in your garden. Have you put up low tunnels? Has this helped? What do you think? If you want to see what I do with all of my flowers, you can check out my Instagram, which is From the Witch's Garden. There's a link to that below here, and you can look back and see everything that I have cut from last season and what I actually do with it, how I arrange it in my house. But yeah, that's all from me, so I will see you guys next week. Bye!